to be so close together, we don't know who's singing what.
The quintones, who rehearsed every week in Orange, remember when Jubilee was big in the 40s and 50s. The Jubilee style originated with the Golden Gate Quartet, and some of the quintones members toured and recorded with Jubilee groups that were sought after by both churches and jazz clubs. Now, many young gospel singers have never even heard of Jubilee.
This is what they hear gospel in the ears. This is what they hear. They don't do really because they ain't heard it, never heard of it. So that's what they sing, more like about what they hear.
Now, if you listen now to the song called Pop Tunes and gospel, that same stream.
To be sure, gospel is sounding more and more like contemporary secular music. A development that makes some gospel musicians uneasy.
Contemporary gospel music, the accent is on music. The accent is on the production.
Singer and composer Rev Milton Biggham is Executive Vice President of Savoy Records, which boasts the largest gospel catalog in the industry.
Record company executives want the big sales. And there's a feeling there that as long as they keep the real message out of the song, as long as they take God out of the song, take Jesus out of the song, we don't want to offend anybody. We don't want, we just want a nice gospel song. We want it to be gospel, but we don't want it to be gospel. And what happens, it's watered down. You can be commercial, but you can't go outside of the church. We got a common saying, is that if you can't sing it in church, don't put it on the record.
The gospel is moving outside the church, and not just on records. It's moving into theaters, further blurring the line between religion and entertainment.
There is a message in gospel, and it's entertaining at the same time, because when you present something, you want to present it as effectively as possible.
James Brown is an actor and playwright who created Yes, God is Real, a musical play that tours out of Atlantic City.
I don't think you can separate the two. I think that even when a minister gets up on Sunday morning, there's a certain amount of presentation, how he's going to do it, the effect. So there's a certain amount of entertainment in that.
Brown says his message is the same one you'd hear in church on Sunday morning, only it's presented dramatically in hopes of reaching an audience outside the church. Exactly how far outside the church gospel music can go is a tricky call to make. Some old-timers say it's already strayed too far from its roots that were based in sorrow, oppression, and poverty. This generation of gospel musicians grew up in more enlightened times. Some say the old tradition has to evolve as well.
There's clearly enormous talent in the world of gospel music. And although recordings are made all the time, can gospel singers really earn a living singing gospel music?
In the old days, they couldn't. They would travel around from town to town for $10 a night, or car fare, or a love offering. Composers often were not paid royalties for their compositions, and singers often weren't paid for their records. That is not the case anymore. But there is still an inherent tension between any commercial enterprise when it comes to sacred music.
Yeah, that's a tension that is of long-standing, I would say, in the black community, perhaps other ethnic communities. Gospel music is the music that represents the modernization of black Americans in the 20th century, the music of people traveling north, settling in cities, developing, if you will, a class structure, becoming, if you will, more urbane. That set the stage, if you will, for the secularization of black society. And because of the limited economic opportunities of blacks, it is through the church, through gospel music, that people's artistic talent can, if you will, be rewarded. And that bears the attention.
Regardless of the tension, though, the crossover artists from gospel have gone to jazz, rock and roll, practically anything they wanted to.
That's true. It has been true for a long time, but I think the point just made is well taken. Should, or maybe I should raise it rhetorically, can music that is essentially sacred music be appreciated for its, if you will, aesthetic and spiritual worth once it is merchandised by people who might not understand the integrity of the music?
And when you take the artists who have taken that style of music out of the church, such as Aretha Franklin, some people in gospel music are a little bit resentful of that or feel that maybe she's betrayed them or sold out. So it's a very ticklish issue.
I've seen that when I talked with Sissy Houston about crossing over from her church in Newark to actually singing sometimes rock and roll and backups. Amber, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Dr. Clement Price, our special guest, thank you for being with us.
Thanks, God.
And that's going to wrap up this edition of State of the Arts. I'm Scott Moniak. Thanks for tuning in. Good night.
Thank you.